fired up about it, so. Definitely really slacking because I got sick at the end of last week. That moment you got definitely prompted me to remember. Yep. Jackie.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see, did you bring extra copies? Or I can look at the
Copy.
Yeah.
I can make one real quick.
No, I can just do it online.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought I would ask.
Here. You're good. I'll sit next to you.
I had to do it in an outlet. I
You're gonna
wasn't
close or close?
avoiding it.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's better. Now I can see all three of you at the same time.
I was hoping to be off camera.
I know what you mean.
All right, shall we call the meeting to order
Yes.
at 4:33 p.m.? And is there a public? I don't see a public.
There is no public.
Okay, no public comment. All right, approval of minutes.
I say yes.
Is that a motion?
Oh, that's a motion. I move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Staff update.
I don't think we have a lot new going on. We've just been working on budget stuff the past two weeks and more. So the police department, I guess probably this is happy with the performance of, they got a hybrid cruiser last year.
Yep.
And they also got one years ago, and then other PDs had issues with theirs and stuff, and the chief said, luckily, we've never had those with ours. So he bought another one and then this year we're buying 2 cruisers, and his plans to get 2 hybrids again. So he's been getting about, I think he said 8 miles per gallon better with the hybrids than with the traditional cruisers.
Nice. And are they similar upfront costs too, or?
I think they're about the same.
About
Yeah,
the
I don't
same.
think there's too much difference.
Oh, cool.
So they're hybrid explorers, basically.
Oh, excellent.
That's good to know.
Other than that, we've been paying repairs for sprinkler systems, but that's not really energy related. That's just age and dry system related. So
Anything else on the Siemens project?
now that we're done with not done with the budget, but done with our heavy lifting of the budget, that's next on our task to get them and signed up. And depending on what their final quote is, we may ask Train for something similar, and just to get the best.
Oh, competitive. Yeah.
So, but the price didn't look too bad. It looked like it might be under 10,000. So we'll.
And who was the other company?
Company called Train. They're the ones that actually make the control system that we use in the buildings here. And so they've got experience with our facility too, and they've got engineers too. But our company that does the regular maintenance doesn't really have anyone that could do the engineers for the analysis. They just do the repairs and things. So we can't really use them, but we're looking for either Siemens or maybe Train or the other.
All right.
Nice. Train as in TRANE.
Oh, thank you.
I knew that would matter to you at some point. So
Well, I still can't believe I made that mistake on spelling the young man's name who came to the last meeting.
Well, you know.
He carefully spelled it out, said N for Nancy, and what did I type? M.
Happens to the best of us. Okay, are we ready for old business?
I think so.
All right. Invasive species and natural areas plan collaboration with Conservation Commission.
I have not heard back from the chair as to whether or not they accepted Andrew's offer of doing it on October 25th. I mean, not October, August 25th. I think she wanted it sooner, but he's very busy in April and May. So I sent her a note today, really realizing I hadn't heard from her. And I'm waiting for a reply back as to whether they accepted that or if they want to do something different.
I hope they do.
I hope so too. My feeling is if they don't want to do it, let's do it on our own. We've
Mhm.
got the date, Andrew's all set to come, so you know, it would be sensible to do it together, but
Mhm.
up to them. So we'll wait on that. Andrew is holding the date for us, so it's fine.
Great.
The slide that I put on the Town of Topsham Facebook page.
Mhm.
Do you want me to send that to Catherine and have her put that out for you guys for the 25th? Catherine at the library, she has a listserv that she can put it out on.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, I asked her to do the street one. But I just happened to think when I saw you guys, I'll do that as well tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
That was our Parks and Rec director that had
Right.
shared the battery storage stuff on our Facebook page. Just thought of another place you could share it.
Sure, great.
Okay. So educational session, well, that was a perfect segue.
Yes.
Educational session planning, obviously is next Wednesday, I believe, at 6:30 p.m. And you had said we need to get here 45 minutes early or an hour. Can't remember
I
how
don't
long.
think you probably need an hour. And
45 minutes.
And you had also said everyone will just bring their own laptop and call into the meeting so that they can share directly from their
Right.
own laptops.
Yep.
So that is, we should aim to get there at 5:45, just to make sure everything is looking good. But I don't think we have any, like, we didn't decide to do cookies or drinks or anything, so. Is there any specific setup that would be helpful for us to do, or all the chairs kind of are always set up?
we'll probably have it, unless you want it differently, we'll set it up kind of like for the select board meeting, so that the presenters can be up front. We'll have the screens, obviously the front and back, and the audience can sit. We'll have like 40, or we can always get more chairs if we need to in the audience. Do you want to speak the
The
podium
podium or just
for
the,
people to come up and ask questions, or?
Oh, I was thinking about from the point of view of presenter, they probably might want the podium.
you mean to present from the podium?
Yeah. No,
Is
oh,
that an
speakers come up
Yeah.
to the podium, you
The
mean?
good thing about having the podium, I think, since it is gonna be hybrid, so someone at home can hear the questions better if we make the person get up and speak in a microphone, as opposed to if they just ask the question from the back of the room. I guess if we did it that way, then someone might need to repeat the
Repeat the
question.
question.
Oh, yeah, no, I think the podium for
podium.
sure, yeah.
We'll just
Yeah.
ask people to come up and speak. at the podium
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
question.
Yeah, because otherwise their question is never heard.
Yeah.
You know, barely heard by the people in the room, much less the people on Zoom, so.
Or the other choice is, I could take the microphone and walk around to people. So they wouldn't have to come to the podium, they could just stand up and ask the, play my inner Phil Donahue. You probably don't know who that is. You remember Phil Donahue,
Is
right?
it like
Do
daytime talk show?
It was like the original talk show was this guy named Phil Donahue, started in the 70s into the 80s.
Wow, you're young.
I
yeah.
mean, I was born in the late 80s, so.
Right, when Donahue was almost a has-been.
Marlo Thomas was his wife, and he died before her, but he used to walk into
Yes,
the audience
Donahue.
with his microphone, so.
I think the Donahue routine would be good.
Okay, so we won't
Because I
do the
think
podium.
people are uncomfortable getting up
Yeah.
there, they're like,
I
"Can you hear me or whatever.
Right.
I think it would be great to
a
just
little
walk
less,
around.
less formal,
Okay,
which I think is nice.
so we'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'll be my job, I'll be the microphone
Okay.
person.
Jackie, you like it?
Jackie knows Phil Donahue, right?
Yes, indeed. I most certainly do.
Oh, yeah.
I even remember when Marlo Thomas played in a sitcom called That Girl. That's
Oh,
what
yeah. Girl.
So, yeah. I do like, I think it's better to take the microphone around than to bring it up to make people come up to the podium. That would cut the questions for sure. But I have to say, I still think it's a great idea to have the question repeated by the person who's actually at the podium, because I've been surprised at how poorly people speak into the microphone. They frequently don't realize how close they need to be to it. And so you don't hear the question anyway. I've been at two different presentations now, and both times I had trouble hearing the question, and I was right there in the audience.
I will remind Andrew of that.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him an email beforehand, just with the, kind of bullet points, show up early, all that good stuff.
Right.
Depending on, I might be able to repeat the question too or something.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that's probably because you're gonna tell people every single time.
Yeah.
You could just ask them what their question is and then repeat it to everybody.
And I don't have many skills, but whatever
Exactly.
reason my voice carries.
Yeah, you
I
gotta-
can repeat the questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Anything else in terms of like setup or preparation for the room or the technology? Did we get will the Zoom link be posted?
It will be by then.
Okay.
Yep.
It's only be late that night, so, but we could set up before I leave.
Yeah, we'll have it set.
Okay, and then, so the Zoom and do the people have to register in advance, or literally they'll just, at 6:30 that night,
That's
they'll,
all they have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
um,
We'll probably want to give instructions at the beginning of the thing. Just let people know that, hey, if you're online and you want to ask questions, feel free to raise your hand. And then Jeff's offered to kind of sit at the computer. Oh no, that's for tomorrow. You've offered.
I'll do it for this
Or-
too. I just want to make sure that I'm
Yeah.
I'm there on time. I won't be there for the setup, I don't think, but I should be there.
And I could, if need be, do the computer part too. But so whichever one of us is at the computer will let the speakers know if, oh, we've got a question from Tammy on the Caddings Road or something.
Right, okay.
so they'll just have to raise their hands.
Yep.
On there, okay.
Yeah, I mean, just so long as we're able to have them troubleshoot whatever the heck is going on with getting on and, getting
You
their
know,
technical difficulties over with.
I've seen in webinars before, maybe we just have them type their question out in the comments. And
Yeah.
then you could actually read them.
They may be more comfortable with it.
Yeah, maybe give them the option
Yeah.
to do
And that way,
it.
instead of continue to throw people back and forth, you just read it off the screen.
Yeah.
Right.
That actually works really well. I'm in it sounds funny, but I'm in a dry bean production course right now with UVM. And, people just type, tons of questions. They're constantly adding questions in the chat.
Yep.
It works really well. Then, the moderator just says, okay, I got a question about, whatever, Yeah, I think that works extremely well.
Yeah, we give you a choice.
Yeah.
You can raise your hand if you want to speak, or you can type in your question.
Yeah.
So just whoever does the introduction to the game tonight, maybe just lay out for those of you online, here's what you can do. Then we can also type it online to all the participants. So if someone joins after it started,
Yeah.
we can just have an announcement for them to see.
You guys have done this before. Very helpful. All right. Additional getting the word out. So the one thing that we didn't really,
The email list.
the email list, I didn't look to see. I can try and look on the older Google Drive and see.
It's there somewhere. I haven't tried. but
And I think it would just be a
definitely
matter of attaching the poster and emailing it to those folks, like
Yeah.
BCCing.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Is that?
So if you want to try that, and if not, I can always call Yvette and see if she can help us get into, find where it is. I don't know. Does she have access to that anymore? She was always the one who, did that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet she probably does.
So, and we don't have an official account or mechanism for emailing. It would just be us
Like
as an
constant
individual.
contact. Yeah, no, we don't.
Yeah. And do you guys know how many people were on that list? Was it like 30 people?
It's more than that, 60 or 70 or something like
Okay,
that.
that's
Yeah.
pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it was basically almost everybody that attended any of the workshops this summer, so it's quite a few people.
Okay.
We'll see.
well, I think as long as we BCC.
Yeah.
People won't be too upset about getting emails.
We could ask Irene to send that up too, if we find the list, so.
Okay, well, why don't we just start with trying to locate the list and then I'll email you, about options first.
I could send it to Jim Lycamp too, with WCMB, and she'd probably announce it, the radio station there, when it comes to
Yeah.
different meetings.
Yeah, he's always. Oh, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, I think he's losing his hearing, which is, I think, was it the last select board meeting?
Yeah.
Maybe when he finished the meeting and he comes up and start asking us questions.
It's
he didn't
almost
hear.
everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll try and dig around for email list.
Nice thing about not using the podium too, is would be better lines of sight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People won't have that in their way.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay, and then I think the last piece here is just, well, I guess there's two things, but presentation materials or in general, coordinating with the speakers,
Mhm.
just one last time, make sure they know the plan. I think we'll have Andrew go first
Mhm.
and then Kurt go second.
Yeah,
We're giving them each like
yeah,
30-ish
Andrew sent,
minutes.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, Andrew sent me his slide deck and it needs some work, so.
Are you
I
gonna
just
be
got
giving
it
some
this
feedback?
afternoon. Yeah, there's too many, we are Revision Energy and we have 31 employees or 300, I don't know what it is, that kind of stuff. And there's not as many slides on how the whole thing works as, so anyway, well, I'll get that straightened out. We got enough time. He's got 1,000 slides, so it's just a matter of choosing the right ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And then
anyway,
I
I'm
will,
working with him on that.
I'll see if Kurt plans to attend in person or not. The last time I checked in with him, he wasn't sure yet if he would be calling in or in person, so I'll just double check that.
Is there a format that you guys have decided, like each does an intro for 15 minutes on their section and then there's questions or?
Well, we have the hour and a half, so I was thinking Andrew goes first and then Kurt, and then we open it up to questions?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
do you think each, like, Andrew goes and then there's questions about what Andrew presented and then shifting gears to the grid scale?
I think there's questions about
Yeah, okay,
directly following Andrews. Because that's going to be more residential, small commercial. So, people will have specific, questions about their own systems or thoughts or whatever. And then
so do we want to, what timing do we want? Does Andrew think he's presenting for 30 minutes or how long?
I don't know if he thinks anything.
Do we want
Yeah.
to tell him something?
I'm thinking that he presents for maybe 20 minutes and we have 15 or 20 minutes of questions. I was just, just going over his slide deck. I mean, it's not that complicated. So he's gonna, need to,
I think you keep people's attention better too, when it's
yeah,
questions, as opposed to just a monologue for
yeah,
30.
and yeah. So, I mean, my hope with him is to, get him to give enough information so that people feel like they need to ask questions about it,
Mhm.
I imagine his questions will be as long as his presentation.
Okay,
So, 15, 20 minutes. God, imagine this. I mean, I think the presentation will be over in 15 and then 20 minutes for questions or something.
Maybe we can tell both of them that if they could plan for a initial presentation that we think is going to spark questions, but if for some reason it didn't seem to spark, to have other things they could go into more detail and be ready to go.
Yeah. Or maybe you and I should be prepared to ask questions.
Yeah. Oh, I got questions. So, so are we thinking 35 or 40 minutes for Andrew, or that might be like 35 minutes.
35 and 35, I think would be perfect. And then
Okay,
we have a little wiggle room. I don't know that our materials even have an end time on them. Do they?
an end
Does
time?
our poster have an
I don't
end
think they
time?
do.
Yeah,
No.
so I don't think
Yeah. Yeah,
people might only be budgeting an hour for such an event anyway.
yeah,
Okay. I like it. So we'll
Okay.
both follow up with our speakers
Right.
and then I was envisioning that we would collect their presentations if they're willing and post them on our meetings
Sure.
page
yeah,
as downloadable
Yep.
PDFs or whatever.
cool.
So I'll just check in about that option too.
And if they're able to share in advance, we can always post it in advance.
Mhm. The Topsham drag strip, man. It's crazy.
You should be here the day when like the oil trucks come through or something. It
Oh, yeah.
Shakes the building.
Oh, nice.
They hit a frost heave.
Sweet.
Okay, and then print, do we need to print anything? I don't think we have a plan for handouts.
Not unless they send you something they want distributed.
I guess we can ask if they want a handout or have a handout.
Yeah, I think those things mostly get.
Trust that.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of times, sometimes they have the QR code slides that they'll put up. If they have any of those,
Mhm.
pause on those for a couple minutes so people can snap them.
Find out. Yeah, I don't think we need to get a bunch of paper.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Anything else on the battery session for next week that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. I think we're in good shape.
Okay. All right, Nick, Southern Mid-Coast Resilience Collaborative.
Hmm.
Did you
Okay.
go to that meeting?
Yes, I did, yeah. Well, I guess I'll get the first part out of the way first is, I'm not really much of a policy wonk, and the whole room was just policy wonks. So, it was a little bit like oil and water. I had a bit of a hard time understanding what the heck people were talking about. But it also, there was some good follow-up stuff. And be careful what you say. I said Topsham has been looked at, for a grid scale battery project. And he, in the notes for the meeting, he transformed that into we are undergoing grid scale battery project. And he linked their presentation to the select board. 118 pages of presentation is in his notes, so I have to sort of get back to them and say, okay, let's keep this on. All I said is that we're looking at this thing anyway. But there's some great stuff on this energy coaching thing. It's not for the faint of heart.
To sign up to be a coach?
Well, there's
what
no
they're trying.
real program yet. So, people are contemplating programs. The state has, I actually took some notes, I think, on the back of one of these. There. The state has got an outline for the possible things that could be done, ways of structuring programs and everything like that. But when you think about it, okay, wow, what a great idea. An energy coach that could go into somebody's house and help them out. Well, okay, they're not an energy auditor. Well, then what are they? So, one of the biggest things about this whole thing is defining what an energy coach does and what an energy coach doesn't do. And I looked at it's this down in York County, York Ready for Climate Action. They're actually a nonprofit that got started, kind of similar to Topsham Solar Advocates, they decided they wanted to do a project and all of a sudden they were some kind of a group. Well, these guys went off to be in 501(c)(3). And so they've got a whole organization around this. And what they've done, which I think is really, really pretty useful, is that they've compiled a whole bunch of information on all the different grants and, programs that you could get involved with. Efficiency Maine plus many, many other, ways, especially for low-income people to get assistance with putting a heat pump in your house. If you're going to run your whole house, there's an Efficiency Maine's got a program. If it's just an auxiliary heat pump, they've got a program for that, weatherization, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought that was really useful, and it's something that might be more accessible, as a strategy, is to just try to get a clearinghouse for, okay, here's all this information. Now we have some people, who might understand what that information is and be able to talk to you. This was like a whole bunch of towns in Saginaw County. So there's represented, a lot of people have done different things. I thought one of the best things that I heard that people had done is like they've set up a table at the public library. And somebody who had knowledge of all these programs and some materials, kind of held office hours there, and people stopped and talked, and they said, yeah, interested in doing some stuff in my house. So, rather than going into their home and doing some sort of I think of it as almost a mock energy audit, because you're not really doing you're not doing a blower door test, you're not doing, the real technical stuff that needs to be done. But you're helping people decide on, what they can possibly do. So I thought that was good. And of course, if you want to meet everybody from the town of Topsham, you go down to the solid waste facility on Saturday and you hang out. If you want to meet people, that's where you meet people, reliably. So I thought that was a good idea. It would take some preparation because you've got to develop and create a program. You've got to define what the program is. You've got to tell people what they should say and what they should not say, So, I mean, there's some, there's some potentially messy places. And another thing that, the ultimate no-brainer for, putting out something that's useful to almost everybody is window dressers. You're all familiar with window dressers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's scarcely a house anywhere that would not benefit from the extremely low cost, low hanging fruit of putting inserts into their windows. So, if we wanted to go down that road, we could, get them to train us, then we could, somehow, concoct a program. I'll go to more meetings with these people and probably get a, better idea what's going on. Because if you want to get like super serious about it, you probably go for a grant, because you can't really administer a whole program without somebody on staff somehow, like this York group has an AmeriCorps volunteer and an executive director. So that, they've got a couple of staff. They've got 12 people on the board of directors, or 15 people on the board of directors. So you can imagine that those people are also volunteering a lot of time and, working on, creating a program. So I think it's a dandy way to get out to all manner of people in Topsham. But it's something that would require quite a lot of work. And I would propose that we might want to think about taking some sort of step in that direction. Because, you know, when you get down to thinking about supporting the climate action plan, boom, right there, smack dab in the middle, is people who need their houses weatherized, you know. And I'm not saying that we're gonna come up with the money for it, but, you know, we could definitely, you know, seed the conversation and, you know, get, you know, fan people's enthusiasm or whatever. So anyway, that's kind of what I took out of it.
Was talking to the guy that insulated my house, and he was telling me how important it is to keeping moisture in account as you're designing what to install. He said some people make the mistake of just thinking you pile on all you can and not realizing if you don't have the airflow, you're going to create moisture issues. So I think that kind of goes along with what you're saying. We probably don't want to have untrained or partially trained people doing the actual energy audits.
Right.
We're probably better off giving information and resources so they can hire the people that are the
Yeah.
professionals.
And, you know, one of the directions was sort of, you know, go in the direction of window dressers. Okay, they're a nonprofit, so, you know, you don't have to hire them to do anything, but the other is to try to develop as a part of your resources, well, who are the energy auditors? And what, you know, could we at some point figure out some way to harness some funds somewhere in the world to help people get energy audits? You know, because I mean, for some people, $300 is a lot of money. So even though you can go out and get $8,000 worth of reimbursement from Efficiency Maine, you don't have the $300 to get started, you know, or the money to, because you got to spend your own money first, and then you get reimbursed, you know, when you achieve a certain goal, you know. But I mean, I did some Efficiency Maine stuff in my house, and you know, the cost of it up front hurt, but man, what a difference. But it was done by professional auditors. So, you know, things like, you know, working with moisture and humidity and things like that were really taken into account. As far as I know, it was 15 years ago. We don't have any rotten spots in the house.
Still
So,
standing.
yeah. Yeah, and you know, there's some stuff that's going on. They had to, God, in these documents, these state documents, there's so many acronyms. Does anybody know what NEEP is? New England Energy something. Anyway, whatever NEEP is, they're developing a toolkit on best practices, you know, for energy coaching. There's another thing called Rewiring America. This is all stuff that's listed in the state document.
I'm familiar with Rewiring America.
So they have online training to be electric coaches, which I guess is, you know, helping people, you know, understand what's available. Oh, if you get an induction stove or whatever, you know, you can save a little bit or whatever, you know, that kind of thing, electrification. in general.
And Rewiring America has you can create your own energy or electrification plan. So you can create a login and then tell them a little bit about what kind of appliances, you know, heating systems you have, and then it will surface electrified versions of those. And then I think it also connects you based on your location with, you know, incentive programs and things like that.
Wow.
But they're a big national nonprofit.
Right.
There's a ton of people doing this. It's like, don't reinvent the wheel yet again. It's more like connecting people to those resources somehow.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's one of the thing about being in a room full of policy people is they all want their own policy, you know. So, I mean, I was like, you know, window dressers sounds good to me, you know, that's like, you know, it's not creating, you know, something from nothing. So, yeah, so there's Rewiring America. Then there's this organization in Bar Harbor called A Climate to Thrive. They are also building an energy coaching toolkit. So, you know, there's a bunch of stuff going on. And I totally agree. You know, it's like, you know, don't do the audit yourself, but find out who the auditors are and try to find people, you know, that can you know, help out with that. What else? guess that's about it. I think it's a great direction. You know, maybe we can talk at some point about whether we wanna do, you know, whether we wanna, you know, put energy into this kind of thing. I like it. Yeah. Any questions?
So are they just gonna keep meeting and continuing to talk about
Yeah,
what the shape of this
yeah.
thing? And how many towns are involved? Or representation?
Well, I don't know how many towns are in Saginaw County, or, yeah,
Okay.
I think it was everybody.
About 10.
7.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
eight country, towns listed in the information that's in the agenda. So it's not every town, but quite a few.
yeah, so we had Bath, Harpswell, well, Harpswell isn't in Saginaw, but they were there.
Well, it's called the Mid-Coast Reliance Collaborative, so it's
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
so
broad.
they're pretty mid-coasty.
Yeah.
Bath, Harpswell, Arousik, another person from Harpswell, West Bath, 3 people from Harpswell, Woolwich, 2 people from Kennebec Estuary Land Trust, Phippsburg. Yeah. So that just happens to be who's in this group. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm probably not the best person in the world to be like, you know, for this particular kind of group, but I'll keep going. And if anybody else wants to go and see what it's like, and you've got time, then feel free. Yeah, but I mean, I think if we wanted to do something as a committee, we can just study the, you know, numerous possible, you know, angles to do things from, pretty much from the state report. You know, Maine Home Energy Navigator and Coaching Pilot Program Design Report. You know, it's from August 25, and a new update on just January 30th of this year. So it's like brand new. But there's a ton of stuff in that document. I guess you probably want that, right, Jackie?
And that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could just email me the name so that
What's
I've got if you could email me the name of
Yeah.
that report, and I'll reference it.
Yeah, I can give you the link too.
Do you wanna maybe create a folder in our Google Drive for this alliance?
Oh,
Do you
no.
wanna send me the
I
materials
tried.
and I'll create a Google folder?
Not to have my eyes bug out.
Bill Don.
Yeah, sure, I'll try. Head starting to sweat. Yeah, sure.
Just send me the things and I'll put it in the Google Drive.
Yeah, we should get together and you can show me what's going on. Yes. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in the, and I could, you know, I can share you the report out from the February 10th meeting too. And there's links on there. But I love that Topsham is undergoing a grid scale battery, 20-acre grid scale battery project, which I did not even say 20 acres. I'm not even sure if I said grid scale, but this guy is such a wonk that he got in there and
Get all excited.
there's a presentation for everybody. Yeah.
I think you still haven't heard anything from them yet.
No.
Yeah.
And then we had noticed that Gorham has a battery project that is up and running apparently.
Just went
I
online.
would love to get my eyes on that thing. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
it's
it
just
would be
like,
interesting to go.
how is this thing set up
drive
and
by
what
it.
are they planning, you know, what does it look like? What are they planning on doing if something happens? And, you know, just all that stuff that we talked about in the last meeting.
Exactly.
Field trip. Jackie called for a field trip.
I love field trips.
Yeah. I mean, is that something you guys would wanna
Sure.
be involved in, or?
I think I
Do you
heard,
know the Gorham Fire Chief, Jeff?
well, I was just thinking, I heard something about that process when it, wasn't there a story behind that process?
More the tax aspect. Last
Oh,
summer,
okay.
we talked to the Gorham tax assessor with the Bowden interns. And looked like as things were going on, Gorham assumed this was gonna be taxable as real property because it was attached to the land. The company doing the project assumed it was going to be personal property, just batteries sitting there, and it would all be eligible for the Betty program, where the state reimburses the town for what would have been the property taxes. And then all of a sudden, as they get close to completion, they realize they have different assumptions. So Gorham thinks they're getting this wonderful payday coming, and that the developers thought they were gonna be paying next to nothing. So they ended up with a bill, Gorham representatives put a bill in the legislature, and the compromise the legislature reached said that any project could qualify for Betty if they already had their interconnection agreement with the grid as of, I think it was January 1st of either 24 or 25, maybe it was 25. And it was made like retroactive. So basically it kind of split the baby. So Gorham was gonna get about half the tax revenue they expected from it. But it means for our purposes that since our one would not be connected to the grid, it will not be eligible for the Betty program. So it means we're gonna get personal property tax out of the developer. But of course, that may be a reason the developer won't want to do it, is because now they have to pay the taxes. But that was the only thing we spoke to Gorham about, was the tax implications.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a
Because in my mind,
kind of
this
big
is a
thing.
nice chunk of money that could help pay for a community center, if they don't,
Right.
or something. But certainly in the company's mind in Gorham, they weren't gonna be giving any chunks of money to pay for anything, so.
Wow. But how the Betty program works in such a way as the town gets reimbursed for
The business, in effect, doesn't.
the
end up paying
business
the
gets
property
reimbursed
taxes.
for their,
Instead of the business, the town would still get the tax money, though I think it's only half or something.
Yeah.
You get it from the state, in effect, rather than the business.
right,
Because the idea is that the business is using their assets to create jobs and things, so that it makes them more likely to invest to create more jobs if they're not having to pay taxes on what they create or what they invest in.
right. But that wouldn't apply to Topsham because what? Because,
The law passed by the legislature
Yeah.
said you're not eligible for Betty on battery storage projects unless you already had your interconnection agreement as of,
oh, so
Whatever
after
date.
that date, you're not
Yeah.
eligible for that.
the date was kind of like custom tailored to the Gorham project, it sounds like. So,
And do you think the town would like cut a deal on the personal property tax?
So what it would mean next, which is kind of what they were talking about in July when they were presenting to the select board, is they might ask for a tax increment financing district.
Right.
So they'd want a deal of some sort. Our attorney actually said we might want to give them a deal of some sort, because if it's worth the 300 million they claim it's going to be worth, when we were doing our analysis of the housing, the affordable housing project last summer, if we were to get revenue on that 300 million, about 40 to 45% of that we'll never see. It goes directly to the school district and to the county.
Yeah,
Because like the formula for MSAD 75 is the town's
Yeah.
valuation compared to Harpswell, Bowden, and the number of students you send to the district. And it's really strict. It's like half and half is what it is. So, excuse me, so a big chunk of what we got in would be paying out to the school or county. Whereas we put it in a TIF, it gets protected from being in that formula.
Mhm.
But the state's pretty strict on, in order to protect things from the taxes, there's only limited purposes you can use the money for.
And community center is
It's currently not one of the purposes.
but might, there was
It's
some promise that it might be in
They've
the
been
future?
slowly expanding the definition, like
Okay.
originally you couldn't use it for a town hall either or something, but now they've kind of expanded into that.
Yeah.
So maybe could be convinced to amend the law, but
Yeah.
then other towns say, hey, wait a minute here, we have to pay for our own stuff. Why should you get your community center essentially funded by the state or on the backs of other taxpayers in Maine? Whereas, we pay for our own. So there's policy arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing I think we could legitimately say in the TIF is, although Jeff tells us we can't put the fire out, but it is certainly, if there was some type of fire apparatus or
Yeah.
special training, I could easily see that get written into the TIF, is to pay for that. But we get our best benefits from the TIF if it could be something we would have paid for, we wanted to do anyway. So
Right.
if all we do with our town money is buy special fire truck for battery storage plants that really has no other use, we're not really ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the TIF would make it more attractive to the developer.
Because they'd ask for a formula to get some of it back, so they'd ask for, let's say, like our TIF with Highland Green or some of the Highlands, a lot of those are 50-50.
Yeah.
So they get half their tax revenue back. And the
Right.
idea was that they created a lot of jobs out there or
Yeah.
increased the tax value so much that it's
Right.
worth the town, even though we only get half revenue for some period of time. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it makes their project, in their mind, probably more viable if they're not having to pay taxes on 300 million, only it's in essence paying on 150 if it was a 50-50 too.
Yeah,
Right.
and one of the things that I can't remember which of the resources it was in was around actually valuing the project can be really difficult.
Right.
And so there's advantages from the town's point of view of having that value locked
Having an
in.
agreement, yeah,
So it doesn't have to be assessed
and challenged.
and
paid,
challenged all
yeah.
the time.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, because Justin, like we have money just sitting aside waiting for Brookfield to challenge the value of, say, the Pajemski Dam. Because they've done it in the past, and you have to pay for a special commercial appraisal. There's all kinds of work involved. Same, the other one that's famous for that is Walmart. And Target was sniffing around a couple of years ago to Justin, like they may be gonna challenge his appraisal. In the end, they did. But you'd have to have a very specialized person assessing this battery storage thing to figure out. There's a guy, I think his name's Chip Spies, that's on the.
Chip Spees, yeah.
That's one of the people that wants to try to
The
get better
Andrew
fish.
guy.
Yeah, he wants to get better fish patching. He knows all the formulas and stuff, so like, he knows how to actually kind of calculate what they're making on that dam and what the value of it is for the power plant there.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got it all figured
So
out.
he could probably be a good person that could try to calculate the value of a battery storage facility too, or at least know the sources you consider.
Yeah, they got 100 people to the Brunswick Library the other day,
Yeah.
for their presentation.
Hmm.
Pretty well attended.
Sky went to that one by Zoom, and then she and I went to their first one that they had like
Yeah.
a year ago in person.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting because they gave us a tour of the hydro plant.
oh, cool.
And
Oh,
I didn't realize that in the actual hydro plant, it's set up so if they have a fire start, it evacuates all the oxygen, just like in a data center. And
Oh,
to try to protect the facility from, which I wouldn't think that was exist in a hydro dam that's been there forever, but.
yeah.
okay.
Um, okay,
Any
we,
more? Yeah, all right. Back to
I
the
think
agenda.
it was just, the battery ordinance.
So I did talk to Sky and Tom and Josh, and we sat down, because I was trying to figure out as I drafted how to, and they kind of gave me where they thought it would go in the code, and what, so I get those ideas. But the other thing we talked about, and then Nick and I started a little bit, is do we want to regulate just the grid scale, or do we want to try to do the home things that we'll hear from revision? Tom's initial thought was he wanted to stick with the grid scale, because he said there's so many other sources of batteries in people's homes, and do we really want to try to distinguish this from something different? Although Nick was pointing out that if you've got a certain size battery, maybe the fire department would like to know what's there. So
Yeah.
maybe, I guess some of it may depend on what we hear next week, but maybe it's a registration system as opposed to an actual permit.
Yeah, that would be a great question for us to ask
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
How they
ask
feel about, ask
who-
the speakers
Speakers, yeah.
about, from a town point of view and safety point of view, how do other towns do it?
because certainly all the electrical part is already getting inspected and
Yeah.
done. So is it necessary to have a whole separate
Yeah.
rules? I don't know. Maybe you have perspectives or
I
something.
think
too.
we touched on it, I think, a couple of weeks back, but, I think the registration, if it comes down to it, is, it really, that's all the fire department would be looking for. It's not necessarily that, I mean, if you permit something, it means it's gonna be installed appropriately, but in a single family home, you can install it yourself. And so you lose your ability, but it would be nice to know it was there, especially because they could have done it themselves. Registration program would be good.
So the other thing we talked about is what the district would look like, or is it certain districts? And they seem to like the idea of this overlay, we have an overlay of certain parts of town where you could have a mobile home park and things. So we'd have, say, a battery storage, at least for the grid scale, I mean, not for the home one, but for the grid scale, there'd be certain distance from the utility corridor or something, or have to abut the utility cutter or within. So they were sure exactly how they wanted to word it, but seems like it's probably, everyone liked that idea better than having it everywhere, kind of limiting it to the area where it's most economically viable, things near the grid. So,
Yeah, and then
I mean, near the power lines.
would there be a special use permit? Or because of the overlay district, it would be like a by right kind of,
I think they were considering making it an allowed use in the overlay district.
okay,
So you'd have to still file as long as you follow the requirements, then
and you had,
can do it.
okay, interesting.
Well, that's what you were saying earlier. If it was over next to Grimmel's, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, right?
Right, yeah, back when this company first approached us, 2 years ago, and they sat down with Tom and they were trying to argue with him a little bit of reason why he said you couldn't do it in R3. But even Tom said, yeah, if they were in R1, there's nothing that prohibits this from happening right now, so. I'm sorry, not R1, if in the industrial zone.
Once
Industrial.
we have the ordinance in place, though, it would prohibit it from,
I guess depends how we write it. I think the thought is it would only be an allowed use, say, in the overlay zone. And then the overlay zone would be governed by what we write. So,
Yeah, I guess choosing the overlay zone based on knowledge of, what these grid scale batteries need,
Right.
distance from, whatever level of power line they need or something like that, would give us the basis for
let
doing
me
that.
Let me try something here, Jackie. Bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna try pulling up a Google map of Meadow Road.
Okay.
And then I'll share it once I get it up. If all goes well. Let's see. One 201, right? Yeah, so I want to be at the side.
yeah, Meadow, see the northern light Zen, that's on Meadow Road.
Here, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
That's
we go.
Meadow Road there.
Let's put the satellite. And now I'm gonna try to share screen, Jackie.
Okay,
See what we're doing, if this works.
yes.
So there's the big transmission, the really wide
Right,
that goes east-west, and then,
Mhm.
so.
God, you can see the
Yeah, you can
wires.
see-
oh yeah.
So what we were thinking was, maybe we don't necessarily want the overlay zone all the way through. Because for instance, this floods and things, so maybe you wouldn't want, or God forbid we have the fire.
Yeah.
maybe you don't want in an area that could easily be washed into the river.
Mm.
Whereas like the area that's proposed back in this vicinity isn't near any larger bodies of water.
So you don't have to have like a contiguous zone, right? It can be a chunk here and a
Yep.
chunk there.
In fact, our mobile home park is in a couple different
Okay.
pieces.
Mhm.
So maybe it starts like on Meadow Road and then goes out towards, Grimmel's, and of course, there's the Crooker mining area, and then you get to the river itself. But so an area just to think about as we draft this is, do we want it along the entire corridor or just certain areas of the corridor? So
Yeah, I mean, anywhere in the corridor that has access, because
but would you want it right here?
no, I mean, definitely not. Because you might not have access, it might flood or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, it's got to be kind of suitably high and dry, but it also has to have road access, right? I mean,
Well, they would maybe, or they would build a road.
Which is what they're gonna do for this,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It has to
Driveway,
obviously
at least,
connect to a real road, but they would build their own.
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, whatever the practical considerations are. Hey, there's our place.
Are the lines still,
Intact.
I can't see them in these
you're right, you
photos,
don't-
but there's
They're there.
obviously the cutting, so.
I
they've
think
gotta
they
be
were-
there.
I think a lot of these satellite fish, sometimes they weren't taken all at the exact same time and they piece it together, so it must be, where do they disappear? Yeah, they seem to disappear
Yeah,
once you
you
get
just
across
can't
the
really
water.
see them as well, but they're there.
They're there, oh, for sure.
I almost wonder, is it, yeah, I guess the trees look roughly the same. The leaves are off the trees in all the pictures. But, this almost looked green, like it was summer and this is fall, but I don't think that's the case.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, you can see my high tunnels.
But, so anyway, there may be reason to make the overlay zone next to the corridor, but not necessarily along the entire corridor.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that was what we were thinking, is have it be an overlay zone and then have the specific regulations. They said they liked the town solar regulations better than the wind ones. They thought the wind ones seemed like they get into the weeds in some places.
Mhm.
So, and then that was the end of their instruction. So Sunday night, I went to implement their instructions and tried to get into the Google Drive, and for whatever reason, I guess because I was trying to do it for my house, I couldn't. And then I was gonna have to bug Scott to get permission. I'm like, I don't want to do that during the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Good.
But I will
good.
work on it for the next meeting. That would give more time.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so you're
great.
you were just gonna try and pick one of the model ordinances to start with.
And then I wait to do my picking until after I hear Wednesday night too, because.
Getting close to it anyway.
We hear some good points next one.
Yeah, and then I sent around the Maine, like, I guess Maine just put out their own handbook or guidebook.
Oh,
So, and it has a model ordinance in it. So there's all kinds of options.
Models to start with,
To start with, and then
Mm.
we can kind of look at the best, whatever we think is the best option within each kind of category. I mean, they're all very similar, so should be doable.
right.
Okay, so next time will be a working session to talk through those details.
Yep.
That's good, because I feel like I want to refresh my memory. Because it's been a month and I didn't relook at everything before tonight, so. So the next meeting we have is March 17th.
Is that St. Patrick's Day?
Normally.
Doesn't matter to
Yes,
me.
it is.
I'll come.
So we're gonna go for a Guinness afterward.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I don't like Guinness
Just
personally.
Jackie says we should come in person for that one.
I guess, Mark, is there anything that would be helpful for, if we have time before the next meeting to
I guess if you
bring or work on?
if you really like one that the ordinance is better than another, let me know, and I'll use that one as the one that. But I'd say let's give it through the presentation
Yeah,
and then see what they said. I guess one benefit to kind of use of the state's part of ordinance is I keep hearing or listening to policy discussions and complaints, mostly in the housing context, but that there's too many regulations of different sorts. So if we like the state's one, it might make sense to try to follow theirs as closely as possible. So that if you've got one common set of regulations that, as opposed to trying to know if Topsham wants it this way, and the state wants it this way, and and the National
Yeah.
Fire Code wants, which
Are you-
probably a lot of ours are just the National Fire.
Yeah, are you gonna put that in the Google Drive, the main one?
Yes, I will add it to the Google Drive.
Or Nick will put it in.
Cause I'm curious, I'm curious, you bring up some good points and usually something like that, the fire marshal's office probably already weighed in on. So if they were listed on there, then give you a list of people that the guy could call and answer questions right off instead of jumping through hoops.
Yeah, it was published in January and they apparently they had a webinar February 10th.
Yeah.
So we just missed that.
Well, that was a
I'd be
big
interested
day.
to see the names on it, cause I probably,
Yeah,
my guess is probably Mark.
I'll
Bates
add
or
it to the
something.
Google Drive and I did email it to you today, so maybe you can forward it to Jeff too.
Yeah, I'll share my stuff. with you.
Cause the way it works, I mean, the state's adopted all of it's really bizarre. It's difficult to track sometimes, but the state has adopted codes for them. And then municipalities can adopt different codes as long as they don't conflict. But the state's codes, I mean, everybody has access to. So if they're already, and everybody's able to enforce, so if they're already working on an ordinance like this, depending on where they put it and what they put into it for work, I mean, it might have just made things a lot easier.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Everyone's talking about this, I guess.
That's what Nick said at that meeting.
They're all talking about it. They might not be saying much, but they're talking about
It's
it.
200 acre matter thing.
Yeah.
And they're up there, we need to get an ordinance real quick before Topsham builds theirs.
All right, no more there's still
No
no public out
public.
there.
Still no public out there.
Okay, we'll see everybody on Wednesday next week. Do you want,
Motion to adjourn,
seconded,
all in
all in
favor?
favor, aye.
I
Think we're adjourned.
adjourned and I got the time.
Hi, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
Oh, you are welcome.